Generally, when we find a piece of gear that works well for us, we stick with it. We found the exception to that rule. This is the Thermarest NeoAir UberLight. One of the first things that attracted us to the UberLight was its packability, how small it packed down, and the weight savings. Difference in weight between the pad we were using currently. This is the Thermarest xlite NeoAir, a regular size, and this is the UberLight in a regular size. You can see that as far as diameter and packability, it's a little bit smaller, but it cuts down about 30% of the size of the pad when it's packed up. So I wanted to just go over some key specs and some things that I learned when I was doing the research to see if this was going to be a pad that I wanted to pick up and give a shot. A few of the things that I learned in the regular, this is the 20 by 72. It was going to inflate and be the same size as the xlite. They used a 15 denier fabric on the top and the bottom, and then the triangular core matrix on the inside is made of nylon as well. I learned that the insulation R value that was added to the xlite, of course, was the extra material that they put in there, and that's what gave it kind of its crinkly sound. They did not use that in this, so the noise level on this is so much lower than the xlite, and it's for that very reason. Now, when Thermarest lists this on their website in the regular size, they list it at 8.8 ounces. I use my sleeping pad as kind of some structure in my frameless pack. I just fold it up and it goes right down the back of my pack before I load anything else in there. And I don't use the stuff sack. So of course, when I weighed this, I weighed it without a stuff sack. Came in at 8.74 pounds, so a little bit lighter than what they list on their website, which is nice because manufacturers don't usually do that. All right, so I wanted to hold up a very popular pad that's been on the market for quite some time, and the UberLight. So this is the xlite. It's a 3.2 R value. You can see that they didn't change much. The air valves on the same side, the baffles are the same size, 20 by 72. They stand up next to each other and they match exactly. The big feature here that I'm just wanting to point out is the thermocapture technology, or thermocapture technology that they use, the reflective part that they used in this. They definitely did not use it in this. You can see how you can almost see through the mat. My arm's behind it and you can see the shadow of my arm behind it. And that's, I think, a really cool feature. It's huge that that reflective material is out of there, and they were able to maintain the R value with their core matrix. So I wanted to point that out for sure. All right, just want to touch on the feel of the actual material. So we went over before, it's a 15 denier ripstop nylon. Now, if you've ever owned anything that is a sill nylon, something that has some sort of coating on it, it's got a very soft feel to it when you actually roll this up and pack it away. If you were to try to roll it and put it back into the stuff sack, it's very slippery on itself. So that's just something to take into consideration. It's got a very soft feel. It does feel a bit slippery, and I kind of like the feel of it. It feels nice up against the skin. But definitely something that I wanted to point out. Now, as it compares to the xlite has the 30D material, and it's still going to be a ripstop nylon, but it's got almost a canvas or synthetic and cotton blend shirt type feel to it, where it's still soft, but it just it feels to have more texture on it, and that's a big thing that I could tell right away from the UberLight to the xlite, and the difference in the 15 denier versus the 30 denier. All right, so we already kind of covered how they took the reflective material out of the xlite to lower the R value and save weight on the UberLight. Now, the big thing about that is the noise level. Everybody always complained about what it sounded like, and who was getting into the shelter or trying to sleep close to somebody that was sleeping on one of these, and that was a problem. So the UberLight has a much more plastic grocery bag type sound, where it's much quieter, and it doesn't have the crinkling of a brand new candy wrapper type feel that the xlite did. Now, as you own an xlite, over the years that sound will start to dissipate, but it will always be there in some form or fashion. And with the UberLight, it's starting out quieter. I think it's going to just continue to get better as well. All right, so I want to go into just some other comparisons, and really, I mean, in the real world, not everybody's going to go for a pad like this right out of the gate. I definitely didn't. This is a pad that I've kind of just worked into and became interested in over years and years of testing, trials, and trying out new things. So I want to just take a look at a couple of other pads that honestly, in a beginning backpacking type situation, may be more suited for somebody that's just given it a try to see if it works for them or see if they like it. So let's take a look at a couple of other pads here. All right, so one of the brands that we see all the time on trail are Climate. And if you're starting out or you're trying to figure out what's right for you, this is the route to go. These guys are all over the place. They have insulated pads, they have uninsulated pads, and then they have ultralight versions. But there is an exchange there for the cost savings. There's some sacrifices, like this Static V. It does have the high R value, but it comes in over 21 ounces. The uninsulated Static V gets you down to around 19.9 ounces. To get to the 8 ounces of the UberLight, I took a Climate Ultralight Static V and cut it off to 50 inches. And that got me down into the 8 ounce category, where I'm here with a full length pad on the UberLight. So yes, there is an exchange for the cost, and you have to be the judge. Is that the right value for you? Does the extra weight offset the savings by not going with a pad like this? You'll have to be the judge on that. This is the Thermalite. Yep.